Summer is almost here, and along with that, the much-awaited New Year program lineups from Australia's major television networks. What should we expect in 2020? Well, to find out, I spoke with my colleague at the Australian media reporter, Zoe Samios.
I think what we saw this year was no surprises from 10, which was actually quite refreshing from them. We've seen sort of upped investment in their big formats like Australian Survivor, MasterChef, and a number of other things. So, you know, I think that it's probably a good start for them. I think that they're relying on things that they know and that we can expect strong audiences in those bits, but it's just whether or not the audience gets fatigued with programs that they're really familiar with.
Yeah, and it's kind of a unique one for Australian networks in the sense that they are wholly owned now by a US subsidiary and a giant, so they can pump a bit more money in, so they're not as, I suppose, exposed to the fluctuations in the Australian market. That being said, how long is CBS are going to be willing to lose money on it?
Yeah, look, at the moment it seems that CBS will funnel as much money as they would like into the network, and we can definitely see that with the US drama that's coming in as well. I'm sure they will come to a point where they go, hey, is this worth the amount of money that we're putting in? But for now, I think 10's enjoying it. And certainly those big formats, you know, Australia doesn't often get the privilege to have these big shows. Australian Survivor's got an extra season in it this year, and we have 3 Bachelor shows as well. So, you know, for the Australian audience, great. I don't know how long CBS will be wanting to fund it, though.
Yeah, OK, well, let's move on to one of the big success stories the last couple of years. That's Nine. They've done very well. The Fairfax merger finalised. They've got Stan sitting there as well. But as a network, they had the big shows and the big successes led by Married at First Sight, of course. How much is their next year going to be riding on the ongoing success of this kind of marriage, let's call it, show in inverted commas?
Well, look, Married at First Sight is the first show of the year. It's the launch pad, so they will be hoping for really big audience figures. There is a little bit of concern in the industry that they peaked in terms of audience this year and they might not be able to deliver, but they also have shows like Lego Masters, which perform really well for them, The Voice. You know, these are strong formats that are well known by the Australian audience, and I think we can expect, you know, solid audiences from them, maybe just not at the standard that they were this year.
Yeah, and Hugh Marks has been going pretty well this year, but then towards, well, in the last month, there's been a few stuff-ups led by this decision to host a Liberal Party fundraiser at the network, no less. And the Macquarie, yes, the Macquarie sale's finalised, but as far as, I suppose, a prospect for Nine, it's very far off finalised. What's going to happen there?
Yeah, definitely. And what we saw at their television upfronts was that they were very much focused solely on that television asset. I think that a part of that is obviously because they didn't have any clarity yet on what that Macquarie deal in terms of finalisation, when it was going to get across the line and what integration would look like. But he's got a huge job in his hands this year, probably just as big as last year. So we'll just have to see what happens. OK, now to the least success story of the year, the Channel 7 or the 7 West Media Network. They've had a real shocker. They had Tim Warner leave halfway through the year. Now James Warburton, of course, the prodigal son, returns for them. Interesting, before we talk about their lineup, I mean, he has made some changes. He's bought Prime in the last couple of weeks. The final sale of the Pacific magazines, which you've covered extremely well. You broke that story to Bauer, and offloading WA radio assets as well. Yeah, he's been really, really quick on his feet. I think it's only 2 months in and he's already made all these changes. Look, he's probably, in terms of, you know, reporting and of interest, he's definitely one to watch because 7 has been in need of a lot of change and a lot of revival. Well, the programming needs a revival. They needed a restructure, and he's come in there quite hard and made a lot of quick changes fast. So in terms of what his broader strategy is, I think that will become more clear once the sale of Prime is or the acquisition of Prime is finalised and the sale of Pacific is finalised. But I'm sure that he has much more up his sleeve in terms of acquisitions, provided that they can obviously afford it.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of months, and a lot riding on some of those new shows they're introducing this year, including a wacky mini golf show. So it goes to the genre of kind of interesting new shows that appeal to a younger audience. But yes, it will be interesting to watch in the coming months. Zoe Samios, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.